A little bit now about how fiber reinforced composites are manufactured. Commercial fiber reinforced composites are produced through a variety of techniques, including resin formulation, pultrusion, wet filament winding, resin transfer molding, and pre-pregging, right? So how they are manufactured. Remember, this is a course in advanced materials, right? There is another course in manufacturing, but I keep on trying to, right, to a very small extent at least, that these modern materials, how are they manufactured? A little bit. So very quickly, resin formulation, right? Simplest production strategy: bits of chopped fiber are poured or blown into the matrix material, often already in the desired mold, the shape that we want the final composite to be in. Curing agents, accelerators, dilutants, fillers, and pigments are added as well. If the matrix is a polymer, then material is melted prior to addition of other ingredients and then poured into the mold. If epoxy resin is the matrix, then it is mixed with a hardener also. The matrix material hardens into the shape of the mold. Pultrusion. Uniaxial composites are often made through pultrusion. The previous one was chopped. Large number of single strands are wound in parallel to form a roving. I mean, look at this schematic diagram. Many rovings are connected into a device called a creel that lets fibers to be pulled together. So this creel is like a spool, right? Fibers are pulled continuously from the creel through a tensioning device and into a bath where they are coated with a matrix material. So from here to here and impregnated in a bath. Coated fibers are pulled through a heated dye for curing. So after the impregnation in the bath, they are being cured in the dye. And final composite, it cut into the desired shape. So this is like a thread and there is a saw. So completed composites, what lengths and so on, or they could be wound again and so forth, right? So this is pultrusion. You are making a composite, right? Because in the bath you have the matrix or the resin and so on, and then it is coated and then you are doing it. So this is pultrusion. Wet filament winding. Wet filament winding. For more complicated shapes, like if you see weaving is being done. So continuous fibers from rovings are pulled through a resin impregnation bath, then wound into the desired shape. So 1, 2, 3, right? Because they are being impregnated, and then one of them is going in one direction, the other one is going in the other direction, and you are doing a weaving. So this is just a schematic, but the real thing will be, pulling it through different directions and wave winder. When enough wet filaments are wound around the part, it is taken into a curing oven to complete a composite of the desired shape, right? So you are doing the same thing as you were doing in pultrusion, but you are doing from multiple rovings, and then in the end you are winding them in a particular weaving pattern. This weaving pattern could be a straight horizontal, a straight vertical, diagonally across, or whatever. And once this part is done, then you take this whole into the furnace for curing and so on. Resin transfer molding. Process of converting mats or weaves into composites. You have made some mats, you have made some weaves, and then you are combining them, right? So woven fiber mats are placed into a space between the top and bottom mold. Top mold, bottom mold. Resin is injected through the top cavity under sufficient pressure to ensure that it penetrates and surrounds the mat, right? Injection channel, and this is the mat. Molds are cured using heat and pressure to create a composite part in the shape of the mold. So there is the top mold, there is the bottom mold, there is the injection, and you have the resin in between, and so on. So you have already done the weaving in a standard grid pattern or in a diagonal pattern or whatever, and then you are using those woven mats above and below and so on, and then you are generating any number of plies and so forth. Pre-pregging. In the previous methods, coating a fiber with matrix was immediately prior to manufacturing the composite part. Can be advantageous to convert fiber bundle already impregnated with matrix material to the composite without further processing. Fiber are passed through an impregnation bath that coats them with a small quantities of resin. They are then passed through a furnace and heated slightly to ensure that the resin sticks to the fiber. Resulting pre-coated fiber, which is called pre-preg, is stored under refrigeration until it is ready to be formed into the composites. Pre-preg is generally woven into the desired mat, trimmed and placed into the mold. Often several layers are required for the desired thickness. The mold is placed in a vacuum bag, then cured into an autoclave and subjected to pressure and heat. So this is a little more advanced combination of the previous methods and so on. So here you are seeing that the fiber spool is there, and then they are impregnated into the bath, then they are going into the furnace, then after the furnace, when it is cured, they are doing the pre-pregging, and then wind up spool is there in the final one. So this is the pre-pregging process. I am not going into a lot of detail. We are showing this to you only in a schematic manner, of course. And as I said, that unless you join a factory where composites are being made actually, then you know just a little. But for example, we have in Sohar CPI, Composite Pipe Industries. There is another composite manufacturing plant in Russell. These are big ones, where if you do a job, then you will very quickly see that the matrix material is this type of a resin or this type of a polymer, and the fiber material is this type of glass or this type of carbon and so on. And the way you are doing this winding, right? For example, CPI is Composite Pipe Industry. So after pre-preparing it, they are already winding the whole thing in the shape of a pipe, right? Maybe it is a 6-meter pipe and it is already being made and so on. And once it is woven and so on, then the whole pipe will be cured somewhere, right? So you will actually see it. But then in Marbella, there are small composite factories. These are large ones, but small composite factories are there in Marbella. So if you join a big composite pipe industry or a small composite industry where they are actually making the fibers and so on. For example, when we were doing solar cars here, or we were doing the body of the manual man-powered submarine, right? So we designed, right, the whole thing and so on. But when we reached the stage where we would need the body of the car or the body of the submarine, and we knew that we will do it by composites, then we went to, say, in Marbella, 1 or 2 industries where we tell them what size we want, what design we want, and we give them the initial design in the shape of a wooden pattern and so on, and then we use it to make the composite. So if you really do it, then you will learn it. Here we are just introducing it. But as I have said, you can work as a full-time engineer in a composites industry. But we are here university teachers and students, and we are doing a project. And then we take it to those guys and we work with them. We give their art design, and together with their help, we make the patterns, and using the patterns, we make the composite and so on, right? So here the practical knowledge is just very rudimentary, very basic. Selection of reinforcing fibers. Most important properties to be considered in reinforcing fiber selection are specific strength. Until now, we were using the strength, the density, and the Young's modulus. A specific strength was there in the tables, but we were not using it. Now we are telling you that a specific strength is very critical. Cost and the ability to bond with the matrix. A specific strength is tensile strength divided by density. So it is an indicator of the strength to weight ratio, because this is the most important thing, strength to weight ratio. We don't want a very high strength if the total mass or total weight of the composite will be very high. We don't want that. In any engineering, we don't want a very heavy object. So strength to weight ratio is the specific strength. In table 7, two key properties are there, and a specific strength is also there. Ceramic fibers, silicon carbide, aluminum oxide, etc., tend to be strong and stiff but dense, right? So their strength is very good, but dense means they will be heavy. Glass fibers offer chemical resistance, right? They are resistant to chemical action. They are high strength and they are low cost, but they are sometimes easily broken during processing, right? So we are just combining that. You see, ceramic fibers in terms of strength will be very good, but their specific strength may be not so high. Glass fibers are brilliant. They are chemically resistant to almost anything. They have a very high strength. They can be formed at low cost, but during manufacturing they can be broken. If they are not broken, then they will be a very good choice. That is why you see so many fiberglass things in the, you see water tanks are fiberglass, bathroom tubs are fiberglass. Why are they used in so low cost things? Because their cost is low and still they are pretty strong. So the same thing, the same table once again, but if you see a specific strength, so if the specific strength is good, this 2.5 is good, right? This 2.8 is good. But what about the density, right? This 2.5 is good, but very dense, right? And so on. So you have to see which is very good, which is not very good, and so on. Metals are strong, but also heavy. Tungsten and molybdenum are there in space applications and welding applications because they have a very high melting point, and so on. Steel is heavy, but good strength and thermal conductivity. Titanium is exceptional specific strength, inert in the human body, capable of osseointegration, we have told you. So forming direct connection with living bone. So they are used as composite, dental and joint replacements and so forth. Right? So there are so many different things. Sometimes the cost is high, but if it is a human being and you extend the life of the human being and so on. There are high performance polymers also, which are strong and light, but in terms of compressive forces they are not very good. In Kevlar, right, bulletproof, we need compressive strength more than the other strength because the bullet is compressing it. So we will not want high performance polymers there. So right, so bullet resistant materials, sports gear, brake linings and so on, Kevlar is very good, but maybe not in some others. Carbon fibers, if performance overrides the cost, right? If performance is critical, cost does not matter much, then high specific strength of carbon fibers, elevated temperature resistant of carbon fibers, race car frames, space shuttles, specific construction applications, and so on, right? So different choices. Selection of the matrix material, right? Matrix material. Matrix could be polyester resin, isophthalic polyester resins, epoxy resins. They have different properties. Some hardeners may have to be added in the matrix, right? So they are polymers, but different choices, and we should see what do we want as the matrix, what do we want to see as the polymer. Vinyl ester resins are there, special application polymers, phenolic resins, polyurethane resins, polyamide resins, and so on. They are a specific use. And then alternative matrix materials, metal matrix composites are also there, which are also very good. Of course, the cost will be very high, but the strength and so on will be very good. So we will stop here. We will stop the whole chapter here. The rest of the slides are there. They are loaded for you in your slides and so on. Quickly go through them, but we will not hold you to very detailed answers in the rest of the things. But until here, you are responsible.